guys, it's Joette with BalloonCoach.com, and today we are having a lunch and learn with Jeff Kelly of Balloon Suite, and he's going to talk to us about how to prepare to sell your business or to buy a competitor's business. And I know this is a topic that sometimes people are like, well, I didn't know you could buy a business, or I don't know that I'll ever be able to sell my business. And I actually bought my balloon business in 2003 from an existing company here in Lakeland, Florida. And then in the end of 2014, I was approached by Jonathan Gerber of that he wanted to buy my business. He had bought multiple companies I had seen in the area. And so I sold to him so I could become BalloonCoach.com back in 2015. And so it's 9 years later now, and it's pretty wild to go, yeah, I did buy a balloon business and I sold it. And so I wish I would have known the things that you're going to get to learn today from Jeff, because I probably could have had much more worth to my business if I had put some other systems in place. But without further ado, I want to give things over to Jeff Kelly. He is one of those Balloon Boss Summit instructors who's been with us for years. People love having time with Jeff to pick his brain because he has so much knowledge in the business industry. And now, because he's been working with hundreds of balloon companies over the years, he now really understands our industry also. So I'm excited that you guys are here and part of this training. And Jeff, thank you so much in advance for all the great stuff you're going to tell us today.
It's fantastic to see you all. My name is Jeff. I'm the owner of Balloon Suite. And today we're going to talk about buying and selling what could be the biggest or second biggest thing that you might own in your life, which is your business. It probably takes up most of your time, regardless of anything else. And so if you, this is a good session for you if you're thinking about, what do I do with this thing that I have created? I have this business. I would like to be able to sell it. It's a balloon decor business. It might have some other areas. I'm trying to figure out what that future might look like. Selling a business takes time, buying a business takes time. So we're talking about things very much in the future. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of several different aspects of selling and an overview of the very, very high level process of selling. If you are thinking about buying another balloon decor business, and you might do that for a variety of reasons. You might have a competitor that's selling. You might be wanting to expand into another city. You might be thinking of getting into a different type of business or a compatible type of business. I just think critically about everything I say on the sell side, because it's fantastic intelligence for you on the buy side as well. I'll talk a little bit about buying as well. And then this is the point in the conversation where I'm a bit of a unique presenter. It's extremely helpful for your presenter if you turn your video on. If you're in a situation where you're not able to do that, I totally get it. If you're inflating balloons, I don't care. I've seen that before. There's nothing there I haven't seen. If you're in your shop or whatever, it's really helpful for me to understand, am I getting kind of some positive head nods? Have you fallen asleep? Am I getting no's? That kind of thing. So I would encourage you to turn it on if you can. That's really helpful for me. There are two resources that I'll give you on the Balloon Suite blog. You can type, I'll just share my screen real quick. If I have the share screen thing in here, I do. We have an article on Balloon Suite in the blog about selling. Here it comes. There's a YouTube video that goes with it. These are getting a little bit, it's been a little while since I did these. So they haven't been refreshed yet in the last 6 months, I don't think. But there's a little bit of information here. If you're also a reader, and you want to think about this later, you want to come back to this. There's an article here in the blog about selling. There's an article in the blog about buying and some of the directional kind of stuff that you should consider. Now, you'll notice that these aren't super deep, in-depth articles. These are giving you the big picture of buying and selling. But then we have videos up on the YouTube channel about this as well. So know that you have these resources available to you. I'll drop links in here to them. This is not the time to read them. I would rather you listen and ask questions and read them later, but know that they are here. Another resource I want you to know that you have is that in just about every community in the United States and Canada and about any other country you would go to, you have people in your community who are business brokers. These are real estate agents for businesses, and they are a wealth of knowledge. And so you may choose to work with a business broker to buy or sell or not, but they are fantastic people if you're thinking about this. They're fantastic people to network with and get a little consultation with and have a conversation about your business and or someone else's business, right? And like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. because they have a lot of experience helping clients buy and sell. And so certainly understand that they are a fantastic resource for you. There are, of course, legal things associated with buying and selling, and they can really help with that. That's an area where I don't know exactly where you are. I don't know exactly what the laws are in your area and what you're dealing with. And so they can be a fantastic resource for you. And they're called business brokers. And if you need a place to find a professional like that, and you don't have one, maybe you're not into chambers, and so you don't have some people you can call through that. A resource for you is to look at your local chapter of BNI, which is Business Networking International. I think it's bni.com. I just dropped that in chat. And BNI offers business networking groups all around the world, and there's vetting for their members. So on the way in, customers get called to understand how the business works, if it's reputable, et cetera. So if you need an attorney, if you need a plumber, if you need, all these different types of businesses, you're going to find people in BNI chapters near you where you can give a little bit of trust to them already, not just straight going to Google and starting to call people. Often chapters of Business Networking International have a business broker in them. And so if you need somebody to chat with, that the values of that person, they're going to be very used to networking and meeting people and not just all sales. So that's a great resource for you locally as well. I'm gonna take my "Hi, I'm Jeff" hat off, and I'm gonna put on my "Hello, I'm Jeff and I buy businesses" hat on for a minute, because I want to give you a little bit of insight into a certain type of buyer. Maybe I'll back up and I'll just say, let's talk about two types of buyers first. There are two types of buyers. One type of buyer is a craftsperson. You have a business that is based on a craft or a trade, right? We are doing work with balloons. We are hands-on, on product. We're doing installations. We're going places and we're delivering stuff. This is a craft or a trade. And so one type of buyer is someone who's into that. You may be a buyer, right? As we do have somebody in the room who is a potential buyer. You have a business and you're looking to expand. You're looking to get into it. You're looking to add more, add to your customer list, add some sales volume, or you're looking to add another geography or add another service. You as a craftsperson, and I would say that from what I know of all of you, you are all craftspeople in this room. You are a type of buyer. There is another type of buyer, which is an investor. And this is kind of like what you think, okay, investor, you immediately start thinking about the stock market. Yeah, that kind of investor. Somebody who has money and they're looking to own a business and they're looking to receive an outcome for that, which is generally either growth in the value of that business or dividend, right? So you can absolutely think about the word stock market when I say the word investor. Someone who does not want to be hands-on. If I were to come in as a partner on your business, I would not want to be hands-on. I have other businesses as well. I'm not looking to take over working with hands-on balloons, doing the amazing things that you do. I'm looking to be an owner and to have a team of people who know how to do that. That's the investor. The reason I start with this is because craftspeople and investors are two completely different types of people to sell to. And what you would do to your business to get it ready is completely different if you're going to sell to a craft. Well, it's not completely different. It's very different if you're selling to somebody who is a craftsperson versus an investor. And so often you hear people who talk about selling businesses in particular talk about what is your, here's the key word, exit. What is your exit plan? What is your goal? Who are you going to sell to? And you're like, I just want to sell. I don't know. When do you want to do it? Well, some people want to do it now. And some people want to do it, I don't know, maybe in 10 years. When you sell balloon decor, you have a target customer. You have this group of people that you like to sell to, right? I hear it all day. Give me the corporate, Jeff. Give me the corporate. I want the corporate people. I want the big ones. They don't care about the money that, they pay for changes. That's fine. Great. I want the weddings. I want the high budget birthday parties. All right? These are all potential customers. I need you. Now, here's a big one. Are you paying attention? I need you to think about the person who's going to buy your business as a customer. Let me say that again. When you're getting ready to sell your business and you're thinking about who am I going to try to sell this to? Who is the buyer of this business? I need you to realize that you need to tailor your business to being sold to someone. I mentioned earlier, there's two types of buyers. We have the craftsperson buyer and we have the investor buyer, and they're looking for different things. So you can think about the person who will eventually buy your business as a target customer. And this is what people mean when they say exit. And I know I'm using all these words all of a sudden. We're talking about concepts now that's like you might be at the start of the journey and you're like, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into with this session? Why am I here? I should go do more balloon work. Yeah, you might be feeling that right now. That's okay. I need you to experience these concepts and start thinking about this. Because if you want to make the most money possible from selling your business, this is the groundwork right here. Okay, so let me talk to you as an investor buyer for a moment. I really love talking about investor buyers because investor buyers are really critical. They're going to want to see things like your profit and loss. They're going to want to see your balance sheet. They're going to want to see your customer list. They're going to ask you questions like, what's your repeat order rate? What is that? What does that even mean, Jeff? What is the percentage of people that buy from you every year? And they keep coming back. What does it cost to get a new lead? What does it cost to get a new sale? Who runs the business? Are they going to stay? An investor does not want to put their hands on balloons day to day. They do not want to be at the office day to day. They want to own the business and manage the team that makes it happen. So the investor buyer is looking for a business that is running and complete and profitable. And if it's running and it's complete and it's profitable, then I would be happy to take a look, and I would be happy to take a look personally at your business and consider being a buyer. Most balloon decor businesses are not at that point. You, as the creator of the business, you're still hands-on. You might be doing sales, and you're doing inventory, and you're doing delivery and install, and you're doing build, and you're doing everything else, right? It is you. If you are not in your business, that business is gone, poof, right? If you take vacation, maybe you have an assistant who can keep it going for you a little while, but it kind of runs out, right? If you're selling to a craftsperson, that's okay, because that craftsperson might be coming in to swap in and become you. But if you're selling to an investor, they do not want to be you. They want to have a you on the team. And so that could be, sorry, I'm using the word you too many times. It could be you. You might want to sell and cash out and still work with balloons and be an employee. And that's fine. That's a great outcome if that's what you want to do. It might be that you don't want to do that. And when you sell, you want to be, I'm out. I'm on the road. I'm in the RV. I'm on the beach. I'm writing a book. If that's the case and you want to be able to sell to an investor, it's time to start delegating big time. It's time. You're going to go through people. You're going to have trouble finding the right manager. You're going to have, right. It's going to, well, I'm about get started now because it's going to take some time and you're going to need to teach. And you might have those staff people on your team now. And you might be able to start delegating more and more and more. This is why we have to think ahead a little bit about selling. There are way, way more investors in the world than there are craftspeople. So if you're trying to sell your business, it's hard to sell your business if it's a business that an investor is not going to want to buy. If it's in a business that an investor would want to buy, you could sell to an investor or a craftsperson. You've got lots of options, right? But if you are the business and if you're gone, the business falls apart, then you need somebody who can be you. And it's a much smaller group of potential buyers who would buy and be you and take over you. This is why we got to think ahead about this stuff, because it takes time to build the team and to get somebody into the spot where they can handle most of the day to day, right? And I know we would all feel that because I know y'all are busy and I see y'all inflating balloons right now, right? Okay, so we're doing a little bit of self-assessment right now on where we're at in this conversation. Okay, so your goal is to make a bunch of money in the end. And so if you can choose the kind of person you want to be able to sell to and start working toward that path, you're ahead of the game, because a lot of people have to sell their businesses last minute and they don't get good money and all that kind of thing. So the earlier you start really deliberately thinking about this and deliberately putting time to this, the better. So Jeff, how do I do that? How do I think about this strategically and spend time on it? Because I'm going to get a phone call in 10 minutes and I'm going to drop because it's going to be an order and I need to go inflate. Well, what you do is you set aside time on your calendar every month to do it. And what does that mean? For me, that meant literally I picked the first Friday of every month and I was not in the office. I did not go to the office. I did not answer the phone. I did not look at email. That first Friday of the month was for me as an owner to do owner stuff. And over time, like, I don't know if y'all have noticed, if your customers, you were setting up account sessions or whatever, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm really hard to get time with on all Fridays now. That's because Fridays are for the owner. That's me being an owner, not working in my business, but I am just being an owner on Friday. Now, occasionally I will schedule things. I'm the owner, I can decide. I will schedule the account sessions or whatever on Friday, but you have to create a space for yourself to be an owner if you want to do owner stuff, because your business will take all of your time if you let it. And so you have to create space, and you are the owner, and this is your job. And so I give you permission to give yourself a day per month. If you don't do that, give yourself a day per month to just be the owner and elbow that room out and just hire an answering service to answer the phone if you're not willing to have it ring and go to message. Hire an assistant to try to figure out how to sell and start teaching them how to sell if you're not willing to not even do that. Just, it forces you to start, and that is the most powerful thing. So your exact path, I do not know. I don't know where exactly you all individually are at right now and how much work needs to be done to get to the point where you've got a business that is either ready for a craftsperson to buy or ready for an investor to buy. But that's what you work on during that day. If you're like, you don't have anything, you're like, okay, I got the day. I did it, Jeff. I have my Friday open. I achieved it. Where's the buyer? Yep. Okay. Now it's time to work on getting ready for a buyer. And now you can create yourself a task list. Okay. I remember that session. I read that article. He said the word business broker. Maybe I can go find a business broker and just ask him for a consultation. Great. Great. Just write down a task list and just work on it. The other thing you will find is that when you create space for that as an owner, you have time to do other really crazy things like monthly business reviews. I don't know if you've all heard of these, but I've been doing these. I've been in business for myself for 10 years. I've done it every month for the last 10 years. Let me go find the article. And these are how, as an owner, I make sure that we're dealing with owner things, because there's more than just selling your business when you're trying to do owner things. There is financials. There is, am I really hitting my goals or not? There is, oh my gosh, I don't even have financials. There's, I have this person that's at risk of leaving. There's on and on and on, right? We have this balloon company that is my preferred balloon supplier and they're going out of business. What am I going to do and how am I going to adapt? This is what a monthly business review process helps you with. So as part of what you would do on those Fridays, you could be doing these monthly business reviews and looking at your financials. And guess what? As you start acting like an owner with dedicated time to be an owner, you naturally move your business towards something that somebody else would want to buy. Did you catch that? If you just create the space for you to just be an owner, you will naturally start getting your business into a spot that's better for a buyer. Because by thinking like an owner and being critical of your business, not of yourself, of your business in the areas where it needs critiquing, those are the exact same areas that somebody who would be thinking about your business, about buying it, those are the exact same areas that they will be thinking critically about. Okay, so you're probably at the point where you're either like, you're somewhere on this range from, oh my gosh, what am I even getting into? I can't even think about that, to I'm on this. I got this. This is exactly where we're going, right? You're somewhere on that spectrum. And so as you have questions now, I want to make sure that you understand you've got a couple options. Option number one is you could be going right into chat and you can be typing them up in chat and I'm going to watch chat. And if you want to ask, I'll thread in answers to these kinds of things as I go. The other is if you're not comfortable essentially sharing the situation that is resulting in your question, and you want to do that, when we get to closer to the end here, there'll be some off recording time and you can do that. The other resource I want to give you is this guy. It's me. And so I'm going to drop my contact information into chat. You're very welcome to grab it and stick it in your phone right now and toss me a text, toss me a message, toss me an email, whatever's convenient. And we can chat about this. Because for me, this is the most fun part of business, is actually buying and selling. So, we talk about your marketing and helping you with sales. I need a website, my website, whatever. That, that's what we do day to day in Balloon Suite. But for me personally, the most fun part is deal making. So you really get me going when we get into topics like this. So hold on, let me type this into chat.
For those of you listening who are part of Balloon Boss Mastermind, you'll notice that we do this every month, the first Monday of the month. We do exactly this. Did you reach your goals? What are your financials? Are you being profitable? The only way to know that is if you're looking at the outgo and the income. And so I love that, that's part of that strategy of just growing your business as a business owner. Getting to know these numbers is going to then help you set up for selling. I love it.
So I want to talk a little bit about buying next. Because if you can understand what somebody is thinking about who is buying, you can understand then what to expect, right, as you're thinking about selling. You might be thinking about buying, as I know at least one of you are. And so this will give you some good insight as well. As a buyer, the number one thing you're looking for is a business that is profitable. Period. Air gap. Okay. That is it. You do not want to buy a business that is not making money. That is a bad move. And if you're at the point where you are, about to put down hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially to buy a business, you do not want to end up in a business that is a flaming disaster on day one. Now, let me be fair. I say that there are a lot of people out there who make a lot of money by buying flaming disasters and fixing them. But most buyers are not taking that much risk. Craftsperson or investor, right? If you want me to look at your financials as a potential buyer, as a potential investor, or any flavor of that, the first thing I want to see is your P&L for the last 3 years. What's a P&L? It's your profit and loss statement. Because I want to understand what I'm getting into at the beginning. I want to see your balance sheet for the last 3 years out of the gate, right out of the gate. I signed an NDA this morning to be able to see the business financials for a business that's for sale, not Balloon Decor, that I saw an advertisement, and based on a very, very high level couple of numbers that may be complete lies, I want to see more. And so I signed a non-disclosure agreement to be able to see the financial statements. It is, I don't need to know the name of the business. I don't need to know its market. I don't need to know anything else about it. I just need to see the financials, and then I can tell you if I'm interested. That's it. Now, craftsperson is probably going to give a little more care to the what do you do, and is that something I want to do, and I already have a business that does that, and I can bolt it on. But an investor, the first thing they want to see is, what are your financials? What am I dealing with? The second thing I want to know as an investor is, who is doing sales, and are they any good at it? Because if it is the owner, I can't replace that. I'm not going to be that person, so I can't replace that. If I'm a craftsperson, I might be okay with that. The craftsperson will be thinking more about the logistics and all of that earlier in their kind of sequence of thinking of things. But are you getting me when I talk about the investor and why we can think about like stock market level investing if you want? But again, this is a huge population of people who could potentially become investors or become buyers for you if you get to that point. Because we're thinking about your financials. We want to make sure that the system is going to keep working on the day I own it. So who's selling, and are they any good? Are they sticking around? Is the staff going to stick around? Who are the staff? Now I'll start thinking about, great, who are the leaders in the business? Are they sticking around, or are you the leader as the owner, and are you leaving? Just because you're the leader and you're leaving doesn't mean I'm not going to buy it. Because if I have a compatible business, I might already have a leader on my team that can take it on. So it doesn't naturally disqualify you from an investor, but I want you to hear how an investor is thinking. because the investor, again, is going to be the most critical of business operations, right? And financial flow and things like that, because we don't want a job. The craftsperson is going to want to come in and see how things are done, right? Well, how do you build this and how do you build that? And do you use the Sarah Meyer method on your grab and go garlands? And hi, Sarah. And do you do, do you do this and do you do that? If you know balloon decor, you're going to want to get into all that, right? Oh, that's so cool. You do it this way. Yeah, we do that way too. Those are not things that should determine whether or not you buy business, even if you're a craftsperson. So if you're a buyer, I want you to not gravitate to those specific things as you're thinking about, is this business a good fit for me? I would give you the guidance of, as a buyer, it needs to be making money. And it needs to be making money in addition to whatever the current owner is being paid. Whoa, did you catch that? It needs to be making profit in addition to the salaries and pay of the whole team. I can't tell you how many, so like marketing agencies, right? There are so many marketing agencies for sale. They're for sale in that $100,000 to $700,000 range. At $100,000 to $700,000, the owner is doing all the work, let me tell you. And the owner on the lower end of that, the owner is not paying themselves. This is why people want to see the P&L when they're investors, is because from the P&L, I can tell if the owner is being paid, and I can tell if anybody else is being paid, and I can tell then if there's profit left over. So you want a business that pays its owner and makes some profit, at least. Isabel, I see your question. So now that I'm starting to get questions about other things, I feel like I'm driving this point. Good. Okay, Patty, you're coming to, okay. I feel like I'm driving this point in hard enough now that you're starting to ask me questions about other things. This is really, really important. I'm going to wrap this and we're going to move on. The reason I beat on this until people start asking other questions is because if you buy a business, you need to know what you're getting into financially first. You're going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars on this thing. You might be taking a loan for this thing. You might be redoing the mortgage on the house for this thing. If you're buying something that's not profitable, you're putting yourself in the hole from day one. And that is you're only going to want to do that if you actually want to do that. And you're trying to buy things real cheap and fix them and sell them. So, okay. Let's talk about once we've vetted the financials. Once we've vetted the financials, we want to know how they're selling. We want to know how they're operating. We want to know how they're delivering for customers. What's their fulfillment? And we want to know if their customers like them or not. Go back and watch this recording later and you'll start scribbling this stuff down. Boop, 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 right? What are the different areas of the business and how are they operating and what's the result for the customer? You could start thinking about their pricing. Is their pricing too low in the market? If you know balloon decor, you're going to, as a buyer, you're going to start critiquing the balloon decor part. This is, again, why I beat on the financials first, because you got to start with the financials. Like if it's not a deal on the financial side, you don't even want to look further. It's a waste of your time. But if it is on the financial side, you're open to that. Now you can start to look at the rest of it. Isabel, definition of profitable: everyone's being paid a fair wage and the business is making net income. You think about your P&L as the line at the very bottom, right? Everyone on the team is getting paid. All the suppliers are getting paid. After all of that, at the end of the month, there's profit, not loss. Profit first is a system for doing financial management for a business, Brittany. So a business using a profit first mentality or a pay the owner first mentality may not be profitable. And they also might be having trouble paying their suppliers. As someone who provides service to businesses that use profit first as their strategy, I have certainly had the experience of customers using profit first who are unable to pay their suppliers because they are literally taking their money first and they don't have enough money to pay their bills. That means they're not profitable. So just so you're aware of that. I'm thinking about where we're going next. So once you know financially it's a potential fit, then you want to start looking at the different areas of operations to understand how they're doing work. And you want to understand then, based on that, where the opportunities are. What are they good at? What are they not good at? how would I run this business myself? That's probably the next most important thing as a buyer to think about is how am I going to run this business and what are my financials going to be? Because there might be things they're doing better than you. There might be things that they're not doing as good as you. They're using this inferior CRM. They never do follow-up. Right? So the financials you see for this business are not going to be your financials once you are the owner of this business. And so this is a place where personally, what I do is I start trying to identify, are there places I'm going to make more money? Are there places I'm going to have higher or lower expenses? Am I going to make less money on this? How am I going to integrate this into my team and what I'm doing? If I already have a balloon decor business, there's things that are going to fit right in. We're going to save a bunch of money, probably. Are there things I can learn from this business and the staff on this business? They're doing well that I'm not doing well in my current business. So I have the potential to get better. Okay, so now the question here that I'm working to answer is, how do I know what I should pay? Because it does not matter to me as an investor who is a buyer, how much money the business makes today. The only thing that matters to me is how much money I think it's going to make once I own it. I give offers based on the money I think I'm going to make once I own it. And so, business making less than $1 million in the United States, generally a list price is around 3 times profit, or we would call owner discretionary income, which is the sum, if you add it all together, the owner's pay and the profit. Put those together, you have owner discretionary earnings. If the owner's running their cell phone through as a business expense and it's mostly a personal thing, you'd add that on. You take this all kind of the sum of stuff that the owner is getting at the end of the day, and you multiply it by around 3. If you're trying to figure out, I'm sorry, this is going to make some of you cry, but if you look at your own P&L for last year or the last 12 months, you go look at how much you paid you look at your net income, you multiply it by 3. That's a starting point for listing a business on price. I realize that is going to make some of you feel like you've got work to do. That if you're thinking about selling your business, that's exactly the feeling you should have. You should not, if you need to pull a tissue and do a couple tissues, that's okay, but then make room on Fridays and get to work. I met a business broker one time. She only worked with businesses over 100 million in revenue. So you can understand the kind of business scale. Like she only needed to sell one in a lifetime and like she could retire. And she was in a networking group with me. And yeah, Ella, I got you. And I walked into this meeting to meet her because I was like, yes, I want to meet you. Like this was before I was buying and selling, but I knew like this is what really made me happy. And yes, you do, Tabitha. We shook hands. I sat down. I thanked her profusely for her time. I told her how excited I was to meet her and just gain every little tidbit I could because this is where I was hoping to go in business. And she said, Jeff, I want you to understand what my job is. My job is to make old men cry because they come and meet with me and they find out what they can sell their business for. And I literally sometimes have to leave the room because they cannot compose themselves because the number is so much lower than they thought their family business was worth. She said, that's not the end of the story. That's the beginning, because then we get to work. If you work with a business broker, here's a little preview, right? The business broker wants to get the most value they possibly can out of it, just like you do. And so they're immediately going to say, great, where are the expenses we can cut? Right? Because they're going to try to help you get your financials into a position where they look better. Right? So, are there expenses you've got in the business we can take out? Is there additional revenue can do? Are there easy sales? Is it, hey, you're not doing any follow-up. Like, let's actually start doing some follow-up and let's get that revenue number up because a buyer's going to want to see higher revenue, higher profit. That's going to give us a higher number. So if you need to pull a couple tissues, do it, and then make room for yourself on Fridays and get to work. It's okay. I'm taking a pensive pause. Isabel, you said yes. Sometimes owners are not paying themselves. That is right. And if you are a buyer, it is absolutely critical that you determine that all staff are being paid a fair market wage and there's profit before you decide whether or not you're interested in spending any other time looking at that. Danette, I hope you're thinking about this too. If a business is not profitable, you can still buy it. But what you're doing is you're buying the assets out of it. They've got balloon inventory, they've got shelving, they've got maybe some staff that you could bring into your team. They've got a customer list. That certainly has value, particularly if you're great at follow-up. That has a lot of value. That customer list, in my opinion, in a balloon decor business, the sales system and the customer list have the most value out of the. If we look at what is in the business that has value, it is those two things. As an investor, that's what I look at, if I'm thinking about a balloon decor business. How big is your customer list? Are you doing follow-up sales? So are they warm? And then how is it that you're generating new business? That is, as an investor, that's almost all of the value. So a business that is not profitable still has value if when you look at those assets, you're like, yeah, I can make money out of this, no problem. You've got 2,000 people on your customer list and 25% of them order every year. I can do the math on that. And I can see that I can make, at my prices and with my team, I know we're going to make money on that. Great. You can come up with an offer price. Now, if it's not profitable, you shouldn't be offering a whole lot. Okay, so we have some great questions starting to come in now. So if you didn't grab it earlier, scroll back up and grab my contact information and we can chat about these things. I am not a business broker. As you can hear, I am an investor, but I'm not a business broker. So I am not the person who's gonna legally have you, work with me and sign paperwork and be like, okay, great, we're gonna go list your business and stuff like that. We just don't do that. But I have a lot of experience buying and selling myself, as you can hear. And I'm very happy to help you think about what the action items are for your business in your situation on where you are today, or, hey, I'm thinking about buying a competitor. What should I be thinking about? You may or may not, I see you, Ella, you may or may not need a business broker. It's just like, okay, so to be honest, you do not need a realtor or a real estate broker to sell your house either. Right? You've heard of for sale by owner, it works, it's legal, you need an attorney. That's all you need. You pay for a few hours and everybody signs paperwork and it's over. So businesses are the same way. Brokers take a fee and it's substantial. And you're essentially buying their expertise and buying their ability to find buyers or sellers, depending on which side you're on, the buying or selling side. But this is why I would encourage you to start speaking with business brokers about your business and about what that journey is like, and so that you can understand where you're at and what they would think about, because this is what they do. You may or may not ever hire one. I acquire businesses and I don't work with a buyer on the purchase side. I don't need a broker to go find specific businesses for me, so I don't generally hire one. But they have this experience, and so you can get some level of expertise from them. You might also find somebody who would work for you on a consulting standpoint instead of as a commission standpoint. Okay, so I think I am going to essentially be quiet here and start answering questions. So I'm going to catch up on what's in chat here, and then when we tap that out, you're going to feel free to unmute and ask questions. So I'm starting with you, Karen. I think yours is the furthest one back that I haven't looked at yet. Oh yeah, Qualitex is a fantastic example, and I'm just going to say out loud to this whole room, we're just going to keep we're going to do a little secret here on the whole Qualitex thing, right? You ready for, okay, is everybody going to keep this secret? Yeah, it's a whole group of, I don't know, 150 people or something. I don't know. We're all going to keep this secret, right?
Do you want me to keep this recording?
Yeah, we can record this. This is all right.
Okay.
Yeah. I got secrets I'm not going to share on here. This is not that kind of secret. There is something that Qualitex owns that appears to have gone away in this. As Karen notes, there's some things that the people who purchased, they decided which assets they wanted to keep and then run and all that. So they didn't buy the whole thing. Those look to me from the outside like they were asset sales. Like they bought what are they called? The super globes, the dealership balloons that are like 150 feet in the air.
Cloudbusters.
Thank you. One company bought that brand. Right? They didn't buy all of it. They didn't buy the whole company. They bought that. there is a certain certification program that many of you are aware of that does not seem to have been picked up by anyone. As soon as I saw that that wasn't specifically being picked up by anyone, as an investor who looks for things to buy that could make money, I was like, are we starting one or am I calling them? Who do I call? Like, was that missed? What is going on there? And so, of course, I was not the only one that noticed that. And so there's this, so, you know, working in the balloon decor industry and what I do, all of a sudden I hear pitter patters. Hey, Jeff, what would it take to set up a website to do this and do that? And I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one thinking about it. But these are assets that could get purchased out of a business. Okay. Ella, I'm catching up on yours. Oh yeah, generational wealth. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to do this. One way is to stay as the owner and have your kids take over operations, or a kid take over operations. So the question is, how do I keep the business in my family so it's making money for my family? Beyond me working in it day to day. So that's how I'm interpreting the question. So a great way to do that is if you have kids that are interested in running the business, one or more, get them into the business, see if they're any good. If they're not any good at it, you will make more generational wealth by selling the business and putting that in a trust that gets invested and can't be touched than you will by giving it to unqualified leaders. Okay, so we're just gonna think, okay, these are some hard words, right? Your kids might not be as good at running things as you. Your kids might not be as motivated to figure things out and be a business owner as you. Now they might be, and they might be better than you at it too. So that could hurt. Okay, so Ella, since you're thinking about these things, don't overcomplicate it. That is my guidance to you. Okay, see if you have family members and kids that are into this, and if they are and they want to take it on, and you as a owner think that's a good idea because it is yours, then you could continue down that path. If it's under 500,000, a trust might not make any sense. I don't know. You know, there's overhead with a trust, there's overhead with a manager, and I know we're going down a rabbit hole that some of you are like, huh, what are we talking about now? And that's okay. We're just not there yet. Your work on Fridays will help you bring to the point where all of a sudden these things might come to your view. But just realize, Ella, that you have purchased and grown or created something that has value, and you can turn that into cash, or you could turn it into something that the next generation takes on. And either of those can create generational wealth. So selling can create generational wealth. I'm going to go really big picture with you really quickly. I am not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor, any of that. So this is all just educational fun. We're just kicking some ideas around on a napkin at a bar or something over a nice drink, or not a drink if you don't drink. I don't drink, so that's why I say that. You know, the other thing you could be thinking about here is if you're trying to create generational wealth with your business, is maybe what you should be doing is teaching your kids to start their own. What is it that they care about? If you could give them that owner's mentality and let them find out if they have that owner's hustle, the entrepreneur hustle, which really means in life that you're willing to work your butt off and not quit. If they have that, that will create generational wealth. So I just want you to hear that there's lots of paths to this idea of I want to create generational wealth. And the least successful path there's two very bad paths in my experience observing. These are observations. One is having the kids, selling the business to the kids and having the kids run it. That generally doesn't work out very well unless you're a big business. The other one that doesn't work out very well is selling it and splitting the cash between your kids when you've moved on. Now, you don't care so much at that point. It's not your issue. But splitting it up, like, okay, I'm going really far on you. The European model of inheritance is a lot more successful at creating generational wealth than the United States one. Okay, I'm going to get back to the next question. Karen, if all the recipes are in my head, yeah, Karen, if I don't do a balloon decor business and I'm an investor, the business has to run itself. And the more written down it is, and the more systematized it is, and the more likely it is that on the day I own it, no one would notice, the better. So recipes, standard operating procedures, a CRM. If there is not a CRM in your business, No buyer should want it. Okay. You need a way to be tracking your customers, tracking your sales, tracking all your conversations. So the systems do matter once you get all the way down to the point of financially it looks okay. I can see that, I'm based on the type of buyer I am. I can see that I would fit in and it would work for me. And then I'm going to go look at the different areas. But if you already have a balloon, see, you have a horse in this race already. You already have a balloon decor business. If you already have a CRM and they don't, that might be your ability to make more money than they were from the business. And so you might be getting a steal. Oh, I see you've got your customer data over here in QuickBooks and you've got it over here in MailChimp. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'm going to tell you a low price because you don't have your sales game together. And I don't trust that I'm going to be able to make the same money as you because you've got all these relationships you're leaving with. And so to me, it's just not worth what you're offering because I can't necessarily make that money. This is the conversation we would have. You with me? But I know that the way I would run that business would bring me more money. So yeah, your systems and your processes and your tools and making them as tight as possible and repeatable as possible, fantastic. If you create literally custom pieces every time, it's a lot harder for a buyer to buy that business. Okay, if you have more questions, drop them in chat.
Lots of awesome information. And I do want to repeat what Jeff just said, which is if everything you do is customized, it is going to be harder for you to sell your business because there are people in the balloon industry who are balloon artists and they can think up and make anything you want, from a large scale design to a small scale design, where it takes not just that they've had amazing training, but it's just a natural talent for many people. And as many trainings I've been to over the last 20 years, I still can't reproduce what they do. Even if they gave me a recipe, like I'm just going to miss some of those nuances. So that's just something for people that when you sometimes are fighting that, oh, I don't know that I need a recipe for my organic. I don't really like doing classic columns. I don't like doing classic arches because they're boring. But what's really cool about them is they're repeatable. Anybody on your team can make them. And if it's in that standard operating procedure, it's in your recipes, then now that investor can feel really confident in buying your business. So just throwing that out as an extra little spin on what he said, because I think this is an area that as you're growing your business, if you're brand new, this is something to consider. It's like, oh, this is why I need to make things that are easy so that eventually when I go to sell, somebody else can step in and do it. So just wanted to grab into that. Lots of great questions.
Denise, they saw you getting up early. They saw you working late for the family. They might not have picked up business ownership right now, but they saw. Okay, resources. There's an article about buying and an article about selling in the Balloon Suite blog. I've got some videos in the Balloon Suite YouTube about buying and selling. We talked about the monthly business review. There's an article about that, exactly how to run that as well in the Balloon Suite blog. Fridays, if you don't have Owner Fridays, it's time to start thinking about Owner Fridays. And I realize that you may personally choose to do Owner Mondays, but I am deliberately telling you to do it on Friday because I know what your schedule is. If you do it on Friday and you can pull that off, you're way ahead of your neighbor who's doing it on Monday because they got a balloon decor business and it's slow on Monday. So I give you permission to start on Mondays, but you need to move them to Fridays. If you need me, contact information is in the chat.
And then the other great thing is you can hang out with Jeff in person in Orlando, November 9th through 14th, 2024. We still have seats available to be one of 100 people. We have 29 amazing instructors this year. And so what's great is through those 6 days, you have the opportunity to sit and have lunch with him, go sit poolside, hang out in his wonderful space for collaboration and understand more about these conversations. So throwing that out there, we are doing a Labor Day special. So for those of you on with me, I'll give that to you in just a minute. But I want to remind everybody who's watching this as a replay, no matter if you think you're going to want to sell your business now or that you may possibly buy a business in the future, put the systems in place that Jeff shared with you today, it will make a huge difference in how your business runs. It allows you to be more profitable and it allows you to enjoy your business when you put these systems in place and you go from being the person who's having to build and do everything to doing the pieces of the business that you really enjoy. Any last closing words, Jeff? I know they've got the way to be able to get a hold of you. And I will have notes for folks also who are watching this as a replay in YouTube or in BalloonCoach.
I think my last note would just be if you need help on the sales side in your business or on the CRM side in your business, I have some options for you, as you're probably already aware. So if we're just meeting, just feel free to reach out. You've got my number right there.
All right. So I am going to go ahead and pause our recording at this time and remind anybody who's watching this for the first time for BalloonCoach, there's always after conversations. So come and join us for our next live and be a part of that after conversation also. Have an awesome day.